I always find in this space, there's always something from the childhood, tinkering with toys or opening things up and messing around with them. Are you in that same boat?
There's two things that move people typically. It's either music or movies. And for me, it definitely was on the music side. And at the age of 3, my dad almost killed me because I had taken all of his albums. He was a big album collector. And I had taken all his albums, I'd taken them all out of the sleeves, the jackets, laid them all across the floor. And he woke up at 8 in the morning to me dancing on top of his albums. He said, he came downstairs and he looked at me and just went, does he make his 4th birthday?
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. Technology integrators, custom integrators, go by various names. They are just a different breed. Whenever you get talking to a technology integrator, it's just clear that what they do is more than just a job. It is a passion that was born out of, something in their upbringing that introduced them to technology, to, whether it's on the audio side with music, a love for music, or entertainment, a love for movies. We all kind of have those passions, but integrators, that passion gets taken to another level when they can work with, customers to or clients to really improve on and perfect that experience in their homes. They're basically, it's a way for them to share that passion with their clients, and it really comes through in the work they do. And that's no different for Sound Designs, a company based out of Mequon, Wisconsin, and more specifically with Brian Kotzke, who is the president and co-owner up there at Sound Designs, and a guy that him and I go back to his Control4 days. A lot of people might know him from there. He's been around different parts of the industry, but more recently with Sound Designs, and has really done a lot of work to implement new strategies and bring a whole different way of thinking to Sound Designs and kind of what they do. And we talk about it. That's what we got going on here on the Independent Thinking Podcast today, is just talking about how Brian has, brought to the table so many different ways of thinking, whether it's from a digital aspect to, growing the team, to just talking about new technologies and how things have evolved, since his early days in the industry. So, always great to catch up, with Brian, with any integrator really, any retailer in this space, and see how they're adapting to the times and what's sort of working for them. So I don't want to waste any more time, because this is a great conversation, one that I've been looking forward to having with Brian, and talking about him and what he's been able to pull out of his relationship with HTSN. So just go ahead and dive into it. This is Brian Kotzke, the president and co-owner of Sound Designs. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and I've been looking forward to this one for a while, because for all the members I talked to, Brian, I think you might be the first HTSN member. So this is kind of cool for me, and I'll say that too. I'll give you that distinction, that it's cool for you too. But no, I appreciate you taking the time, Brian Kotzke, the president and co-owner of Sound Designs up there in Mequon, Wisconsin. Appreciate you calling in and checking in for the podcast here today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Rob.
Yeah, not excited to have you. So let's, before we dive into the business and Sound Designs and everything, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and entry into the business.
That's interesting. Now, my career has come full circle. So I started back in the early 90s, 30 years ago, ironically, the same year that Sound Designs was founded by a partner and his wife. And I started in retail / what was quasi-custom business that was a large retailer here in Wisconsin. And my career kind of went from there into being a manufacturer rep, and then working directly for a couple of manufacturers. 14 years at Control4, obviously, where we met. Had a group show. Ironically, and I was presented with an opportunity to come in and be president and co-owner and kind of carry the torch for my partner as he's looking at potentially retiring soon. And I found it to be a tremendous opportunity. I always thought maybe I should do it. Maybe I should get back into the custom business. And the opportunity really was something that when I sat down and thought about it, what do I miss? And kind of weigh the pros and cons. And And the pros were that I missed the customer interaction, I missed that last, 5 yards, if you will, and putting it across the end zone and customers smiling and saying, wow, we love it. And knowing Sound Designs for 30 years, they've had a great history with customers, and they've got a really good customer base, and it's a large referral. And to be in business for 30 years, it's said something. So,
no, that's awesome. And one of the, I want to go back even further, because I always find in this space, when I talk to guys that are in this integration space, there's always something from the childhood, tinkering with toys or opening things up and messing around with them that really got them, interested in. You don't realize that it started more as a hobby than and a career. Is that the same for you? Can you are you in that same boat?
It's funny you bring that up, because I thought whether or not to add this into our conversation, and the fact that you naturally went there. For me, it was when I was 3 years old. So my mom and dad, my mom was a Motown gal, my dad was a rock and roller. And, in our industry, there's two things that move people typically. It's either music or movies. And for me, it definitely was on the music side. And at the age of 3, my dad almost killed me, because I had taken all of his albums. He was a big album collector. And I had taken all his albums, I'd taken them all out of the sleeves, the jackets, laid them all across the floor. And he woke up at 8 in the morning to me dancing on top of his albums.
Oh no, I could just imagine.
He said, he came downstairs and he looked at me and just went, does he make his 4th birthday? Or is this where he's headed? And so for my mom and dad, if you ask them, they'll say, we knew at the age of 3 or 4 that there were going to be something in music or entertainment or something. So that's where it started for me.
No, that's awesome. And then obviously it kind of always snowballs, and you dive deeper into it. It's cool to hear those kind of origin stories of how you said it. Like, so it always starts at those early ages in one way or another. And that's what's, I think, so incredible about this industry, is that for most of the people, a majority, I'm not going to put an exact percentage on it, but it always feels like it's a hobby or passion for them. So you kind of, you find people that are more, it's a career, but it's not sort of like the defined career that, you'd see across most other professions. So it's something they care about, and it always shows through in the work that they do. And that kind of takes us to sound design and kind of what you get to do today, because as you mentioned, you've kind of been in different parts of the industry. So what, starting there, what does that other experience kind of bring to the table for you now at Sound Designs as a president and co-owner?
Well, when I was talking with Jack about originally coming on board, it was really about structure. Sound Designs in 91, it was really a 2-channel audio company, high-end speakers, turntable. I sold them a lot of stuff when I was a rep on Krell and Parasound. And, some of the brands that back in the day were top brands in our industry. Some of them are gone today, like Stella Acoustics and some others. And so really the passion of Sound Designs, and what I was brought up to do, is bring structure to the organization. In 91, they were really fly by the seat of your pants, hang on, because things were great. And I brought a lot of structure from my manufacturing days at being a big company, Control4, et cetera. And that's really what we wanted to see. And so we've done a lot of things that we'll talk about, I'm sure, in the next couple of minutes. But Sound Designs is really formulated around the high-end experience, and that's really where I love to be.
No, that's awesome. So kind of boiling it down, you're starting to tell it there, but what is that elevator pitch on Sound Designs today?
So Sound Designs, it started in 91, right? So first and foremost, I think that's a huge compliment, because 30 years in the business as a small integrator doesn't happen very often, right? There's a bunch of them that are out there, but if you look at the whole scope, it doesn't happen. So our elevator pitch is really about making sure that our clients' needs are met. We try to pick out the things that they like to do in their lives to make their technology simpler for them. What started as a high-end 2-channel audio system back in the day has now morphed into home control and whole house audio, outdoor entertainment. We're going to get involved in pool controls and stuff. So our elevator pitch really is to make sure that the client, if you look at the application, every application is different, and we make sure that we have the needs. And we're not like a lot of people out there that, they can get tons of products from tons of manufacturers. We focus on specific manufacturers. And my saying to everybody in the company is we're very important to a few manufacturers. We're not just a dealer for a bunch of manufacturers. And that helps us in our ability to be efficient in installing systems. It helps us from a technology and understanding what the customer has in their system. And really, it's about the customer service. We're a referral business. And we do the things right for customers. By and large, they're going to continue to come back to us and refer us. And that's where our business thrives.
No, that's awesome. And thinking on the product side, is that, you mentioned it started as just the 2-channel sort of company. Is that really the bread and butter still, or is there other areas? What would you kind of define as that sweet spot for Sound Designs?
The company has changed. The business has changed, right? The idea of large speakers sitting in a room to listen to an album, it hasn't really continued on. As things have gotten smarter and solutions from big speakers have gone in wall, some of those solutions, like the JL sub in the wall or something like that, you get really good sound out of in-wall technology. So the technology's changed. You don't need the large speakers. However, we still do quite a bit of large 2-channel listening room. It doesn't start there today, though. It starts with, hey, I want entertainment in my home. And then, like I said earlier, if there's an application for it, and the customer's passionate about it, then we'll present for you to be able to do that.
Well, that kind of lends itself nicely to something else we were going to talk about, which I know you can't. I feel like you can't have a conversation with someone today without talking about their business and how the last year has impacted them. Did you notice a lot of customers coming to you? Was that the crux of over the course of the past year when you had projects come your way? Was it people just wanting to improve that in-home experience and just that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think from there's probably 2 parts to it, Rob. One part is over the last year and a half of the pandemic, nobody's been traveling. And just like we saw in 2008 when nobody was traveling, the people that still had some money that were disposable money spent it on their house. They may not have taken the trip to Mexico or the Caribbean, but they dumped it into their house. The other part of it, and the second side of it, is people had to learn to adapt themselves, right? I think we always talk about internet and we talk about how the standard cable modem or standard cable router isn't good enough in your home, etc. And I don't think that was felt any greater than this last year and a half of the pandemic when everybody's at home and they're trying to do Zoom call meetings and they're trying to stream video and stream audio, and the entire family's home at one time. And not only is the entire family home, but the neighbors are home. And so the pipeline became essential for us to be able to maximize networking. And we got one of our guys through Control Force PCNA certification class. We did a lot of training and doubled down on making sure our guys are certified in the different lines of products that we carry. We also scaled back. We went from 4 network lines that we carried to 2 because we wanted to be efficient, we wanted to be accurate, we wanted to be able to spec the system correctly. And we've been able to do that. The networking side of it has helped us get into audio and video and other things in the home. And so while the business changed, I think we adapted quickly to it. We've had a great last couple of years. Like a lot of other dealers that I talk to across the industry, if they adapted, they're doing well. And if they didn't, then they're struggling. Right? The ones that kind of like, oh boy, what do I do? The ones that are struggling. We looked at it and said it's an opportunity for us to get back into the homes and make sure the internet infrastructure is good.
No, that's awesome. And to your point, a lot of businesses, as you look at the last year, and certainly there were areas. I mean, you can't think that everything was positive. There was a lot of challenges and struggles across so many industries, but this in-home space, the from whether it's custom install to, I know, you look at events that we've attended over the past year, virtually, of course, like NKBA, and hearing about just the boom in the in-home market and renovations and stuff like that. Kind of a crazy how the opportunity presented itself for designers and architects and obviously integrators as well. Do you kind of see any of those changes being sort of long lasting? Like, has it completely have you had to completely adapt to where you won't go back to the way it was before?
So yes, I think they are. I think a big part of that is customers have gotten smarter. I'd like to say, we were the ones that kind of drove it from our side, but our customers understood. You always talk about that router situation of, is the Spectrum router, is the Comcast, or whoever you have, is that good enough for me? And I think this last year and a half, it taught a lot of people that it's not good enough. And I need to hire a technology advisor to be able to spec this out for me. We've had a long history of, like I said, referral business, and we're treating our customers right. They're going to come back to us. And so they thought of us for that technology. I think it's long lasting. I think the challenge that we face now, part of the reason why we consolidated some manufacturing lines was that product shortages. I had a customer just tell me this last week. He said, as a business here locally, and he said, Brian, the issue that we face is that right now there's, 60% capacity on the workforce, or 70%, whatever that number is. Once you get to 100% again, the manufacturing side of it will ramp back up, but that may not happen for a while.
Yeah.
And so we've been challenging. We've been great with our manufacturers. They've been great with us about communication. And I just designed a system for a customer yesterday. One of the questions he asked me was, is everything available? And we've been getting smarter about doing that and making sure that products are available before we spec them, because otherwise the lead times are ridiculous right now.
Yeah. And about the availability, have you noticed it come in ebbs and flows, or is it getting better? Because I know, anyone following this space, they know obviously it's not just the manufacturing of the product itself, but also availability of chips that are, causing a lot of lead times and that sort of thing. So has it gotten better at all, or are you still sort of having to navigate some uncertain waters?
There's some areas, Rob, that have gotten better. A lot of cases, it hasn't gotten better. We're doing a lot, as I talked to you last week about this. We're busy, and we're doing a lot of piecemeal. Right? Our guys are, even though we have product shortages, our guys aren't short on the time. They're still working 45, 50 hours a week, and they're really working around. Like, we might have to send somebody out twice to a customer's home before we would do it once. But that's the nature that we're in today. It's part of the business. You got to learn to do it. Hopefully, we can get better efficiency and we can get product and do an entire job at one time. But right now, it's kind of piecemeal.
Yeah. So on that, the surging demand, you guys talk about how, you've taken on a large amount of projects from what we were talking about to a point, what's it like managing all of that? And, is that slowing down at all? Or do you see more customer demand right now? What's the business side of it for you guys like right now?
Business is hot. It's really hot. And that's a good thing. We lost a couple of competitors in our market space during the pandemic. And we picked up some of that business. And juggling it has been tough. But I have a great team, and we got pretty good scheduling of all of the jobs. But we're slammed, and it's tough. It's not an easy thing, but I love the 7:30 in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night hours right now. That's what it takes, including getting proposals out. Even though we have a ton of jobs that are out there, we're getting more people coming to us and wanting to do business with us. And so Sound Design's philosophy has always been, if you have a customer that wants to do business with you, do it. And that's I mentioned earlier that we're a high-end two-channel shop. We take jobs for under $1,000, and we go as high as the customer needs to go. So we're working and we're busy, and it's great.
Yeah, no, that's obviously a good problem to have, right? Rather than not being busy at all. And I kind of, we had talked about it before as well. Is the influx in projects something that you're looking to? I mean, does it lead itself to you guys expanding as a company, growing as a company, and those types of things?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a small shop right now. It's 8 people total in the organization, and we are looking to expand. It's one of the things that's kind of as I came into the company, laid out kind of a roadmap for expansion. But I have to keep my guys busy. I have to make sure that it's that delicate balance of how many hours is too many hours for the team. And if I bring somebody on as a business owner, I'm responsible to make sure that we got enough work for them to do. And so, yeah, we're looking to expand. We probably need some salespeople, a couple of installers. Eventually, as business warrants, and we get to that maximum capacity, we expect.
And bringing in a little bit of Nationwide here too. I know we had talked about how some of the new offerings. How the Locked-In program, as an example, the health insurance. How big of a benefit to you is that right now? As you are looking to expand, what kind of opportunities does that present to you that maybe you wouldn't have had?
Well, if you ask our account manager Scott from Nationwide, or you ask Hank, it was day one decision on part of joining the buy group. I saw the direction. Hank kind of laid everything out for us. I saw the direction that they were looking to get into health insurance and stuff. In order to hire, on your last question, expanding, I want to hire the right people. I don't want to hire just a warm body. And in order to hire the right people and look at this not just as a job, but a career opportunity for them, you need health benefits, you need health insurance. And as a small business owner, that's tough to do. Oftentimes the programs are all over the place on what you're offering. As an owner, it's a tough move as far as putting a benefit package together. Locked-In kind of brought all that together. I saw the opportunity for it. And to be able to roll that, ironically, July 1. We're working on finalizing our details, and we look forward to being able to have full health benefits for our employees, and then be able to go out and it'll help me recruit and expand the company as well.
What you mentioned the timing is perfect to be talking about this. What has the lead up been like to getting it up and running and ready to launch, to start being able to offer?
It's been about communication. So from day one, with me, with my partner, I kind of laid out what we have currently for every employee. Looked at the opportunity that Locked-In presented. It saved our company some money overall versus what we were paying, which was a huge benefit for us. The communication's been great. Scott's been great from HDSN. Hank's been great as well in trying to kind of line this up. And the first couple of calls with Locked-In have gone really well. We've got all the planning stuff in place. It's just a matter of us writing our own policy and procedure, which goes back to my structure question that I answered earlier. And we're building that out. I hope to have it available by the 15th for the employees. And then that'll allow us to look at expanding.
No, that's awesome. And kind of following it up with the other side of, there's obviously the business services side, and then you guys too. I know you're doing a lot right now. You mentioned again the structure, adding it to Sound Designs and kind of what you're bringing to the table, and dipping into Nationwide a little bit too. You have a new website as well, that you can kind of talk about all of this on. So talk to me about that digital arena, because I know, and you can attest to this from the other side too. I'm sure looking at other integrators' websites and kind of what is out there, or really the lack of strong websites that are out there. It's not a space that they really like to dabble in, because I mean, to their credit, projects, you want to show a client what you're capable of doing, right? And it's hard to really present that in a website form, or just from images can do they can't do justice, if I'm being honest. So, what's it like diving into, building a website for Sound Designs, and what's the opportunity there for you guys?
Great question. Another day one kind of map of what I wanted to do. So, Sound Designs had a website. It was just like you're talking about. It had some images on it. It hadn't been updated in 6 years, and it was old. It was old too. Um, Talking with Nationwide and knowing that retail web services was part of the whole umbrella, I looked at it, and it wasn't what I envisioned for our company. It was more appliance driven, if you will, and stuff like that. And so I started looking at others and looked at about 35, 40 different websites of people that I know in the industry, not in this market, trying to just keep it, and looked at things I liked, and then put my manufacturer hat back on and knew the creativity and the marketing assets and everything that were available from some of the key manufacturers that we do business with. And so we started talking about it, putting it together. And, for us, it was less about selling on the website. In fact, right now we sell nothing on the website. But when you look at customers and how do they get to you, technology has changed to where most customers do their research first. And, if I'm talking about a product, do I want them to research my website, or do I want them to research another person's website? And for me, it was, I want them on our website. And in fact, so much so that I'm working with our account manager at Retail Web Services, I told her that, we got a brand page, which we have a few now on the site, that when you click on that brand page, I don't want it to go to the brand manufacturer so that way they can go and find another dealer to go, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so it was important that each brand stay within our page. But it allows us, like you said, images don't really speak to the product and what it can do. Video of 30 to 45 seconds does. So, for example, we're launching one of our brands on the website is Triad, and they have a great website for a video that just talks about the manufacturing process of them really being a wood shop out of Portland, Oregon, and there's a brand story. And so my vision for while the website's up now, it's going to move more towards brand stories, sound design stories. If I have a drone and I fly it around a project, for example, and give a good outdoor, experience for the customer, it's differentiated. And most dealers don't do it. And so we invested a lot of money into it. We continue to invest money into it. The thing I love about the Retail Web Services through HDSN is that the website is live all the time. So in other words, if Sony were to change their promotion for 2 weeks and lower the price of a television set, that price comes up on the website for those 2 weeks. I don't have to worry about it. As a business owner, I think one of the biggest reasons why people in small business don't have the websites in our industry is because it's very time consuming. And so we hired somebody to basically stay on top of it for us. And I talk to her weekly. I send her updates every week. And it's been great. We've had 2 projects already hit off of it. So wow. I say it's working. It's only been up for 3 weeks.
That's incredible. I mean, that's awesome to hear. That you've kind of been able to change the mindset on the website. To your point about, that customers are going to be online anyway. So if they're going to do their research, you want them to do their research with you. So you build that brand familiarity with them. Even if, it's just your presence that like you're not on there talking to them, but they're researching on your website, working on their own to build that sort of trust with you, even though they haven't necessarily been in a store or a showroom. So what, I mean, this is maybe getting a little deep, but what did it take to kind of turn that way of thinking around, for Sound Designs to get them to buy into, the possibilities of the website and what it could do for you?
So we talk a lot about kind of how do we drive business? What are our key drivers? In 30 years, Sound Designs has not spent a dime on marketing directly to consumers. And so the business, though, has changed. People don't walk into the showroom anymore. We have a 6,000 square foot showroom. So what do we do to drive people to us? Is really kind of what it comes down to. And if you're not doing marketing, spending the marketing dollars, and people aren't really walking into the showroom as much anymore, you have to have a way to touch them. And to me, there was no better way than the website, because I have something that I can point them to. It's on the signature of my email for every email that they can click on. And it also helps me when I'm trying to get in front of designers and influencers and architects and things like that, that before they step foot in the showroom, they look at it. Lastly, it's about the differentiation. So one of the things I tell my guys all the time is vans must be clean. You never know if a customer's going to walk out of their garage and their van doors are open and you need a clean van. So I posted up on LinkedIn yesterday or the day before a photo of one on the inside of our vans. It goes back to my old boss, my retail days back in the 90s, said, walk into the bathroom every day. If the bathroom's clean, it sets an example for how the showroom should be. And so it's that mentality. We drive people to the website with a new clean look, invites them to the store, gets them to call us. I can sit in a customer's home. I can show videos off of our website to a customer. I don't have to go to the manufacturer page or go to a different dealer page to show something. I have to go to YouTube that might have a logo of a different dealer. I stay within my own element. And it's really been beneficial. It's kind of changed everything. My partner's been very good about just go. And you said you're the structure, you're the mind, go. And it's worked well.
Oh, that's awesome. And we could have an entire other episode because you mentioned in there the idea that, yeah, this is the customers that you're talking to, but it's also the parallel verticals, the architects and designers that are looking at this as well. And I know we're, like I said, we could have a whole other conversation about diving into that space and the benefits there. But, what do you kind of envision? You talked about it a little bit, but dive a little deeper into what the potential moving forward is for the website. What do you want it to be eventually? If, obviously it's something that you're always working on, but, in an ideal world, what is it that it's doing for you and your business?
So when I look at it today, it's more of a start to an education process about what we do. When I look at it 3 to 6 months from now, it's more of a brand story for not just Sound Designs, but the important brands that we cover. When I look at it going farther out, it's going to be basically a portal, but a lot of manufacturers have gone to a portal system. We'll go to a portal system for our customers. So on our website right now, there's an account page to it. There's nothing there. But it's going to be a means for us to be able to take all manuals, streaming services, username, passwords, etc., and give the customer a unique username and password. That way, if they ever need anything to access for their account, they want to know how long warranties are, they want to know, what their username is for Pandora or whatever, it's there for them. They don't have to call us for it. They could call us by, of course, but I want to make it easier for them. That way, they're going to our site more often too. That'll really drive referral business. Okay.
No, that's awesome. Cool way of thinking too. You kind of making it that one-stop shop for everything for the customer, because the more you can drive them, the more they're thinking about you, the higher likelihood that they'll come back to you for more if they have projects down the road and things like that. So you're kind of building that customer ecosystem for them, which is awesome. Right. No, Brian, this was awesome. This was a great convo. And like I said, we could go on for hours. Maybe we have a part 2 planned up, here not too long from now, but I know you're busy, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. And, just look forward to seeing you now, following your business, following the website, how it grows, and following, your business as it grows as well. So, best of luck to you, and look forward to connecting here in person before we know it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rob. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And a huge thank you again to Brian for taking time and chatting with us and sharing a little bit about his passion for this space and everything that he pours into his work there at Sound Designs. And, like I said there during the interview, it's always going to be interesting to follow, how companies and especially integrators can maximize the return on investment with their website. So it'll be cool to see where they kind of take that digital presence and what it becomes. And, look forward to catching up again with him down the line. But appreciate him taking the time, and as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we will catch you next time.